Hi. Ah, the power of free. Free stuff is always nice. I'm attracted to free stuff, as are most people. Though I must admit that things that are free hold very little value. And sometimes our pursuit of things that are free can get us into a little bit of trouble. See, once something is free, it becomes very difficult to figure out how much it's worth. And I've been gifted some fragrances throughout the years from family and friends. I consider these as free because I didn't buy them, and I had no obligation to the giver of the gift other than a thank you. As such, I have no connection to their worth. But what is a fragrance worth? Would you be able to smell a fragrance and tell what the price of that fragrance should be? Probably not. Now, most of you probably answered yes. And that's understandable, because we as humans are notorious for overestimating our abilities, especially the abilities of our future selves. But in reality, you probably won't be able to tell. I mean, you could probably throw a dollar amount out there or something like that, but that's not you knowing the price of something, but rather a learned reaction to that type of scent. Truth is, we don't know what a fragrance is worth. A niche fragrance sometimes costs 10 times more than a comparable cologne, and for sometimes an arguably similar fragrance experience. Now, did we come to that conclusion on price? Or did the companies that manufacture these fragrances come to that conclusion on our behalf? And does the price determine how good something smells? Oftentimes, the same fragrance is priced differently at different retailers. We often also get told by different sellers and different retailers about what a fragrance is worth, and different sellers are going to tell us differently. If a fragrance had a static value, then it would be priced the same at every seller, and retailers would sell it at the same price, and discounters wouldn't exist. But discounters do exist in the fragrance world, and they certainly make it difficult, for me at least, to pay full price. Unfortunately, this isn't just for what they stock, it's also for what they don't stock. It extends to that. I cringe sometimes when I see a full price fragrance at a department store, knowing full well that I can get the same thing from a discounter at ridiculously lower prices, and often without having to wait too long after the initial fragrance's release date. Now, I've been buying fragrances since before discounters were readily available, since before internet shopping. Hell, even before the internet. Yes, there was a time before the internet, and it was wild. You could do all the crazy shit that you wanted to, and nobody had to know about it. And the only evidence of that was in your memories. Back then, the department stores were the only place that I could get my fragrance fix. And I certainly couldn't do a massive haul like I can now, especially working part-time whilst putting myself through university. So there was only 1 cent per season. And there's a point here, and I'm getting to it. The point is, I had to sacrifice a large chunk of my income to get one of these fragrances. It was harder to get, and so it held a higher value. Did that make it smell better, even if it wasn't that great of a fragrance? Or is it that I'm viewing them through the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia? I mean, I am talking about the original Acqua di Gio, the original Isimiake pour Homme, Ralph Lauren's Polo Sport, and Safari, and the old Aramis Havana, and Givenchy's Pie, and Sirius Rouge, and Drakkar Noir. Of course, I paid a lot of money for these as a teenager, and even though I still really like these fragrances a lot, I would hesitate to restock them at the 1990s prices that I had paid for them. Even today, I mean, I could easily get 2 or 3 bottles of something else. So it looks like it's a question of learning, and research tells us that we learn the value of things over time. And if free is the equivalent of things that are least value, then does the free fragrances in your collection become the least valuable ones? Because that's what I've noticed in mine. Here I have some fragrances that have been gifted to me in recent times. Now, not from the companies themselves, I'm not affiliated with anybody. This is just gifts from family and friends. The first one is this one right here. It is CK Free. What an appropriate name. I mean, no one should actually really be paying for this. I've used this fragrance about 5 times, as you can see. The reason why so much of it is gone is because I've only ever used it in one application, in one setting, and that was to bathe myself in it liberally whilst going back to the office after a midday sort of basketball session. Every week on a Wednesday we would leave during lunchtime to go play basketball, and when we came back to the office I used to grab this thing out of my office drawer and go to the change rooms and just basically just douse myself in it because I didn't shower until I got home. Kill me. But that's why I've only got a little bit of it left, and I've only used it 5 times. Like I said, that was back when we actually had offices to go to. Of course, I don't value this very highly because it was gifted to me by a family friend. And the next fragrance that I've been given for free is this one right here. This is Armani Mania. Armani Code. Yeah. See, I don't even know the name. And I must say, I hardly ever use this fragrance. Every time I pull it out and I spray it on, let me get a... Yeah, every time I pull it out and spray it on, I'm like, wow, this is actually really nice. Then I remember that I didn't choose it and I didn't pay for it either. And then my brain does this really weird thing and makes me forget completely about its existence. The fuck? The next one on this list, I don't know if it's a list, but anyway, the next fragrance that I've received for free is this one right here. This is Dior Sauvage Eau de Parfum. It isn't here because I gave it away. I'm not a snob. I really actually wanted to like it. I wanted to like it because everybody likes it. Everybody loves it. I wanted to like it too. I wanted to be in that club, and it just didn't work for me. On me, it smells like a rich guy's armpits after a hard day of flailing his arms around, gesticulating at the help. Or does it smell that way because I didn't choose it and I didn't pay for it because it was free? So here we are thinking that we're being so objective and fair whilst our unconscious biases are having the time of their lives, controlling what we think smells nice and what doesn't. And I guess that extends to more than just fragrances, because our unconscious biases control a lot of what we do and how we feel. And maybe one day we'll get better at being ourselves, though the rapid pace in which we move makes me doubt that will happen anytime soon. So free as a concept is super attractive, but once attained, it is of the least value. We can extend this to time. Free time. Time where we are not productive seems not to be worth it. You know, like free time is valueless. Now, I'm not talking about time we spend on our phones or in front of the TV even. I'm referring to time just spent doing nothing. Staring into space, sitting in silence, looking out the window. These are seen as waste. Is it because time is free that we give it such little worth? So little value, and yet still strangely attracted to the idea of attaining it? These questions do have answers, and those answers come from within. Unfortunately, they're free. You